Hi, welcome everyone to another session of Human Manual. There are manuals for every machine in this world except the most powerful machine, and that is the human machine. The most beautiful machine is our human machine. Let's take a little peek into that machine today. Let's take a peek and see how the human machine works. Today, we're going to talk about people phobia. People phobia. In India, most favorite line is, "Ye log kya kahenge?" What will people think? What will people say? The fear. We are always concerned about what people are going to say, what people are going to think. That seems to be the biggest fear. In India, we all have that. We grew up with that fear. Our teachers, our parents, our friends, our elders, almost everyone, almost every day you had 10 people tell you, the way you're behaving, what are people going to say? What are people going to think? Come on, behave yourself. Look at you. Look at the way you're dressed. Look at what you're wearing. I mean, look at what people will say if they see you like this? I remember my parents always telling me, listen, we're going out to this party and you better be in your best behavior. I don't want no crumbling. I don't want no grumbling. I don't want no tantrums, no nothing. Just make sure that, you behave well. People should not have a bad impression of you. People should not think that you are so-and-so. And that's what we all have grown up with, right? Our teachers, what did our teachers say? Hey, listen, did you do your homework? Did you do this? And if you didn't, then you're always concerned about what your friends are going to think, what your neighbors are going to say, what your colleagues are going to say when you're at work. And no matter where you are, you're always being judged. You could be in a shopping mall shopping. People always tell you to be in your best behavior because people are always concerned. And that has been a fear which has been ingrained into us since our childhood. And it only keeps getting worse as we get older. Little did we know that those same people who you think are going to judge you are going to be judged. They also have been bombarded with those similar kind of thoughts in their mind. So we always worried about judging each other. Judging seems to be a favorite pastime of humans. We always are judging others. And what does something like this do? It basically cripples us. This phobia of being judged, of always being watched, of people always looking at you, instills a deep fear in you. It just gives you, it creates a lot of anxiety. It creates a lot of fear. It creates a lot of disorder in you. It creates an inferiority kind of complex. It creates shyness. And especially if you are uneducated or if you're poor, then you even have a worse inferiority complex. The biggest problem we have in India among the poor people is the inferiority complex. We have been somehow brought up to look up to the rich people. In the Western society, in America where I live, where I've gone around with people do not judge people based on money. Money is the last thing you are judged by. You are judged by who you are. And so the fear of being judged has different effects on different people. It basically cripples you. It paralyzes you. You are being constantly bombarded by these quality checks. You have to be in your best behavior all the time. People are always judging you. People are always observing you. You get the fear that people are always looking at you, when that is absolutely not true. I mean, most of us have got our own things that we're worried about. So we do not really judge as much as other people fear. So what this does, it makes you fearful. You sort of panic. Before you even enter a party, what do? Haven't you seen people? Like if you're going with a group, if you're going with a family, and if you're always worried of being judged, of being constantly, you always, what do? Oh, you go first. Oh, you go first. I always tell my friends, I have always heard people say, hey, listen, you go first. Mom, you go first. You always have that fear of you're going to be judged. So this fear basically, what does it do? It sets you back. This fear kind of stops your growth, kind of stops, what your whole full potential is. People, you do not blossom the way you should. You do not grow. Your thoughts, your mind does not give you are not using your mind to its full potential because of this fear. You could be a very creative person. You could be someone who could do very well in life. But if you have this phobia, if you have this fear, and you're always worried about what people are going to say about you, it stunts your growth. It's like putting a brake on your life's progress. What you got to do is recognize you have this phobia. There's always going to be some people who are going to, maybe go along with what you say and may have similar thoughts, but there's always going to be, a group of people that are going to think negatively. So I decided, basically, listen, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to say what comes in my mind, what is the right thing to say. I leave it up to the people. I'm going to do the right thing, and it's for people to judge me the way they want to. Just accepting the fact that you do have this phobia, then you can always take steps to correct that. So, most important is to understand if you really have, what kind of a degree is your phobia. How much, there are people who are very bold, who are very aggressive, who are very outward, who have the exact opposite, who have a superiority complex, who really feel that they're much superior than others. And then there are people who have the exact opposite. They have the inferiority complex. So you have to see either one of them, both of them are bad. Let's address that problem. It is a disease. It stops you from speaking out your mind. It stops you from saying out loud what you really want to say. It stops your communication skill. You really do not communicate with, it could be a person or it could be with a group of people. Now, this fear is magnified if you're with a group of people. The larger the group, the bigger the fear, the bigger the phobia. Some people have, a fear of looking nice in front of just a few people, just one person. You could go out to a very rich, a wealthy person and have that fear of what am I going to say? How am I going, you're always going to be watching, you're always going to be in your best behavioral thing. So you're not going to be natural. The whole key is we are always being superficial. Having this phobia makes you superficial. We're always saying things just to please the other person. There are things that we keep blabbering and saying because you feel it's going to impress the other person. We are constantly spending our time, most of our life, in just trying to impress others rather than being content and satisfied and being your natural self. Stop comparing yourself to others. And especially you ladies, stop always trying to look right. Do you know how much time you spend in front of a mirror? If you ever add up all the time that you spent, that'll be a considerable time of your life you have spent just trying to look right in front of others. Rather than that, why don't you concentrate on what makes you happy and let the other person worry about himself? You can never please everyone all the time. It is absolutely impossible to please everyone, to want to have everyone say certain things about you. People are going to judge you regardless of who you are. You could be the best dressed person in the whole room, and if there is a person who dislikes you, he is going to find some fault in the way you look. He is going to point out, so there is no end to trying to impress someone. There is no end in trying to make someone happy. The best thing that you can do is make yourself happy. What it does, it gives you the confidence. That confidence is what is going to communicate the other person your strengths, your power. So what you really need to do is be yourself, regardless of who you are around with. I know it's not easy. We all go through that. There seems to be an unusual trait among people who are successful. And guess what is that? That is, they are bold enough to be themselves. They speak out their mind. All these major CEOs of corporation, chairmen, you watch them come out and they speak out on TV. They come out of the public and they come out and tell them exactly. They make all these bold predictions. They're not afraid of being judged. They're not afraid of what people are going to say. Successful people are not afraid to put their thoughts into words and to put their words into action. They're not concerned. They're not worried about what other people are going to think about it. So they go out and put their words into action. I remember when I first went to America, when I first did not have the money, when I first tried to get a job, obviously I did not have the confidence. So confidence only comes about with success. Confidence only comes about when you have made some money. Obviously, our society of today really values you based upon where in life you are. How much have you succeeded in life? So, although we may not be able to totally eradicate that phobia, but we can definitely reduce the power of that phobia. We can definitely reduce and stop judging ourselves constantly. One of the important things in life is to learn not to judge. Learning not to judge itself is like a meditation. It's just observing, it's just accepting life as it is, accepting a person the way he is, accepting our surrounding the way they are, accepting our family, our friends, our co-workers. Just accept them for who they are. Just learn not to judge. And guess what? What it does, the minute you stop the judgment, the minute you stop judging, what it does is quietens your mind down. It quietens your heart down. What judgment does is basically get your thought process moving rapidly. We always feel most balanced when we are not looking at ourselves and judging ourselves based on other people's scales. We all come across those people. There are people who are constantly nagging and saying negative things about other people. That seems to be the biggest pastime of ladies, of men. I mean, the biggest gossip is what the other person did. What did the other person do wrong, or how the other person was dressed, how the other person misbehaved. Life is full of people who are making judgments. You need to identify those people. It's very easy to spot, because the minute you come across people who are gossiping all the time, you know what that person is. He may be talking about the other person today, and tomorrow, what is he going to do? When he's with your friend, he's going to be talking about you. So stay away from people that are always judgmental. Some people have this disease, the phobia. They feel, they have no inner confidence of their own. So they're always trying to make the other person look down so that they may look good. They don't realize it, but they are, the minute you talk negatively about the other person also considers that you may be saying something like this behind your back to others. No matter how often they tell you, I'm only telling you this because you're my friend. I'm only sharing this with you. All right, I wouldn't do this to anybody. Please do not even believe that person, because whenever they tell you, listen, I'm only telling you this because so and so, means he is repeating the same line over and over again to everyone. You do not want to be friends with people who are constantly judging other people. The ones who love you would never judge you. But those who would obviously don't love you. When you're continuously worried about what other people think of you, you know what you're basically doing, right? You're basically giving them your control. You basically are letting other people control you. So what you need to do is take that ownership back. You need to take that ownership back from that person. You need to take that ownership back from society and have the confidence. Judge people with your heart, not with what you see. You need to judge a person by his character, by his being, the way he behaves, not by what he wears or what he says. You really need to judge people more internally, not superficially. When you're judging me, don't forget, I'm silently doing the same thing. I may not tell you that, but I may be silently doing the same thing. And guess what? Both of us, chances are, 90% of what we think of each other could be wrong. So we make this presumption, we make these judgments, which are absolutely untrue. 90% of what you think of and judge others may not be the proper assumption. Maybe the person is completely different than what you think he is. As you're judging others, you are being judged. And we need to understand it's a two-way street. What happens, let's say if you go to a Sangeet, a musical party, and then you hear this lovely music that you're familiar with, you hear these songs that you grew up with. So what happens, you feel, maybe you want to dance on it. So what do you think, internally you want to go out there and dance. You feel so good. The song is, just right within you. You can feel, the pulsation and you want to get up and dance. But then what you're always worried about, what others are going to say. No one else is dancing. Why should I be the first one to go out and dance? You're always concerned. And then there's always going to be some bold person out there who will make the first move, who will say, hey, listen, I don't care about what other people think. I love the song. I want to dance to the song. There is a floor out there that has been kept specially for people if they feel like dancing. I want to be the first one to go out and dance there. I don't care if I don't look good. I don't care if people think, I look stupid, but that's their problem. That's their disease. So a lot of times, I usually am the first one to start the dance going. I go out there and I find the right song, and before you know, there are so many other people who join. There's always the fear. We're always waiting for the first person to make the move. Like when you go to a conference, when there's a speaker, after his speech and after he said what he's got to say, most of the time they ask you, is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask a question? And then everyone is silent. Although they may all have questions that they may want to ask, but then there's always the fear. I don't want to be the first one to raise my hand. I don't want to be the first one to say, I have a question. Let someone else ask the question first. Let someone else raise their hand. Don't you remember in a classroom when a teacher used to ask questions and they're always waiting for people with the answers, and many a times you know the answer, but you don't want to be bold enough to stand and give the answer. You're always shy. So basically, this is where some of us have developed that inferiority complex without knowing, and that fear has over the years have only magnified, has grown, and it's about time that we recognize we have this fear, and it's about time we look to cure this. Trying to overcome this fear, the first thing you got to set in your mind, listen, I am as good as anyone, if not better than all of them. Most of the time, we are always thinking other person to be superior. Most of the time, you think people are smarter than you. Little do you realize that majority of the people, and it's a factual thing, majority of the people are not as smart as you are. The very fact that you're watching this video, that you're making an effort to improve your life, so chances are you are far superior than them. Anyway, thank you all for spending the time. Thank you all for coming out here and giving us your valuable time. I hope you do not pass judgments, and I hope we all learn to accept the way they are. If you disagree with what I'm saying, I welcome you to your opinion. You have every right to your own opinion, but I look forward to hopefully seeing you again. God bless. Thank you. Just as you go to the gym to improve your physical health, The idea of making these videos is to better the health of your mind. Our endeavor is to bring you better quality videos. So please give us a suggestion. When you wish others well, nature wishes you well. So please share this video. Subscribe to get notified about new videos.